Oh, wait. Okay. We gotta go back. I messed something up. So for those of you who are watching this that are wondering what's happening, I am erasing all this stuff that you don't know about yet because I forgot to put something in. And this is, once again, why we write in pencil. Hello. So we are in a bit of a different setting today. I'm going to be showing you guys today a little bit about how I use Heart Breathing's How to Plot Your Novel format. And then I do add a few extra things. So you may recall that I mentioned that I was going to be using a workbook that I kind of created myself, just in a document because I was trying to get things to be more ordered and easier to see at a glance because it was just such a mess on the computer and hard to keep track of everything. And it was making it really difficult to move forward with the series. Well, that just ended up becoming the same issue because regardless of what format you're using on a computer, I feel like it's really easy to just keep going and it just becomes a mess. You know, you can put so much in it that it's hard to keep everything in order, right? So what I started doing instead was using a notebook. And so essentially what I do is in a notebook, the way that I'm doing it, I basically have one line for each plot point, and having that condensed thing is helping me to keep things more concise, which is how it should really be in a plot outline. You know, this isn't a storyboard. I shouldn't be, or for me, it's best not to have every single scene in that storyboard, but that's what I want to do when I'm doing it on a computer. So this way I can't do that, essentially, and I've already found that it's a fantastic method. I have fully outlined the first book, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be doing it for the next books. But before I move into them, I wanted to show you how I do it so that I can kind of use it as a double whammy. If I show you how I outline it, then I will already have those pages ready to be working on. So as I mentioned, this is Heart Breathing's How to Plot Your Novel. I will, of course, as always, I will link the series on that in the description. I highly recommend it. Completely revolutionized the way that I approach writing and my storytelling in general. Ugh, I just love it so much. But this is basically just how I use it. And I do include a couple of extra things, like I said, just because they're mentioned in her series, but they're not actually on the sheet. And I do find that they're a little bit helpful. So to start off, I'm going to show you how I do the character sheets. Now I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time than I did for my first book because I wasn't sure if I was going to use the goal, motivation, and conflict section. And so the first time I outlined, I just did the profiles, character profiles, and then I ended up doing the goal, motivation, conflict on a separate page. But I'm going to show you how to do it this time both on one page. So each character will require one full page. And then what I usually do, if I have side characters who aren't a point of view character, but they still have important, you know, things you need to know about them, like it's good to know their wound and their goals and stuff, but I don't necessarily need to know their character arc or really their goal, motivation, conflict because it's not important to the plot. Overall, I do a shortened version of what I'm going to show you here. And if there's literally side characters that show up once or a few times that I don't need very much information about at all, other than maybe their relationship, I'll just list them on the bottom. But yes. So to start, I always do, and I write sideways, which hopefully doesn't look too weird. But that's just how I write. So I will write character profiles, and then I'll do a dash. And I'll write the title and ... If there's like an addition number, I'll do that. For me, mine are like volume 1, volume 2. So yes, so there's that. And then I try to put the basic character information on 2 lines. Same goes as I'm going to go for the plot, where I try to keep it as condensed as possible. So I will literally just write their name. So like whatever that is, usually just the first name. I haven't found yet that knowing their full names is important, but that's up to you. And then I'll do one of these things that I can't remember right now. And I'll do the age. And I don't actually write these. I don't write name and then put their name. I don't write age and then put like 25. I literally just put the numbers there because I'm trying to keep this as condensed as possible. And with the character profile, I tend to write a lot more on it. So it's just best to leave the labels out and just know what they are. And when I put eye color, I'm actually just gonna write eyes. Because I will literally put, they have wide green eyes. I'll put little descriptors, or they have tired looking brown eyes or whatever, you know. So eye description, hair description, same goes, long, wavy, whatever it may be, and then height, which I would just write like 5'12" or whatever. 5'12", that isn't a thing, okay. It's fine. And then on the next line, I will get the more in-depth character descriptions. So for me, I usually will put like skin color as its relevance, face shape, and I'll just use commas for this part, body type. And I try to leave enough room so that on this same line, I can do another one of these and put their style. So if they're like more chic, if they're more edgy punk, that kind of thing. I just like to include it because I really like style, and you know, it is kind of relevant to show things about the character. So now this is where I start to do things out of order because it's just how it makes sense to me. So I have this that I made actually when I was doing this for the first time that shows exactly how I outline it. Just because I felt like the progression of these items made more sense this way. So first, we have basic description, name, all that stuff. And then we have physical description. And then I jump down and actually do how they portray themselves first. So this is where I'll write, let's see, how can I put this? They come across as, and whatever. And once again, one line to put that in. And then I'll write, really, they're, whoa, that's incorrect. And this is also why I write in pencil, because I have erased so many times. I do not at all recommend doing this with pen, unless you know that you're perfect the first time, or you don't mind mess ups, or that you've already done this somewhere else and this is a final version. I'm using pencil. And then following that, I will go back up to past hurt. We'll write past hurt, traumas, otherwise defining moments. That's how I'd word it. And I give myself 3 lines for that because obviously it's extremely important, and I don't know, I personally couldn't fit them on one line for my book anyways. And then following that line, we'll do what they believe about themselves because of these experiences, or even just in general, like what is their belief about themselves. So I'll write, they believe that they, you know, etc. So that's where I put that, one line. And then I would put in their greatest fear, which may or may not have anything to do with this, but of course, usually there is some kind of connection. And then after this is where I would put their deepest desire and their greatest need, because I just feel like you need, at least I feel like I need to have this information first before I can say really where is this character at, what do they want. So they want, one line for that. They need, I might even write they really need, or you know what, the word that I like more, I don't know why this is important, but I'm gonna write they actually need. And now after this, so that's all you need to know basically about the characters. On the worksheet, this is where you would be in this section. So this is where we go more into the character arc, and this will change from story to story, which is why I do intend to continue filling out the character profiles for every book, because things will change. Honestly, the thing that really made me decide that was hair colors changing, but still, in general, more traumas are gonna happen, good experiences are gonna happen that negate things, and so these are gonna change from every book, and especially this part, it is important. So I literally, this is the character arc, so this is where you're gonna have the beginning, how the character is at the beginning, where they're at in the middle, and then where they're at the end of the novel. And I literally just write beginning, middle, / mirror moment, and then end, and give myself one line for each of them. Now after this is where you're gonna break out your ruler. So I couldn't decide if I wanted to do this in a list format or in a table format like it is in the workbook, but in the end I did decide that I liked the table format. And so in my personal notebook, I have discovered that I have 28 lines per page to work with. And so I will take that, try to line this up as evenly as possible. And so just for me, I like this to be very precise. Obviously, it will depend on the notebook you're using. So I have found that this plot fits perfectly into the 28 lines, the way that I do it, and so that might not be the case for you guys, but if that matters, perhaps you can figure out how to work it for yourself, like I have. That did not go on the line. Okay, and now I don't put anything in this. Like I don't write goal, motivation, conflict. I know what this stands for. If you watch her video, she makes a point that you have the inner goal. Okay, you know what? We're just going to show you. If you want this worksheet, go to Heart Breathings, watch her series. She explains this so much better. Please, 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 please. It will change your life. Okay, moving on. So you have the outer and the inner goal. And so basically Heart Breathings describes this as being what they want versus what they need. And so the want goal, I think especially, will probably change novel to novel. This is really, I think, the core of your plot. But the need goal is like their deep-seated, the thing that they really need to change about themselves. If you're writing a series, of course, I'm kind of wording this as if you are, because that's what I'm doing. But yes, so I'll write they want, and I'll fill the 2 lines. And I'll write they need, fill the 2 lines. Now after that, this is where the motivation is. So this is why they want that. One of the best ways that I saw this explained, I did have to do a lot more research on the goal, motivation, conflict, so I feel a little bit better about giving more information there, because I really just didn't get it. Like I said, I wasn't even sure if I was going to include it, but I really like thinking about this like a sentence. So think about, you're telling a story, you're like, so-and-so wants this because of this, however, this. So goal, motivation, conflict. So you could write, they want to do it. I don't know. And then, of course, I try my best to fill all these lines. Sometimes I can't think of enough to fill this much space, which I didn't love because I really want it to be really precise. But yeah, so, and same goes for this. They need to do it. Yeah, they need to do it. That would be, that's why they need this because they need to do it. However, they can't. Okay, yeah, so that's basically, I might link a couple websites in the description too that I just looked up to describe this part. Obviously this is based on Deborah Dixon's book, so I should link that too, but I haven't read that. So yeah, I find there's a lot of resources online, which I know is cheating, but anyway, so that's basically the character profile. And now, like I said, if I have a side character that's important, I will do the same thing where I'll write their name and all that description exactly the same as over here. And then character-wise, come across how they really are deep down. And I will include their past hurt. Basically, I include everything. Their belief, greatest fear, want, and need. The only thing I don't include is the beginning, middle, and end, the character arc. So all of this carries over except from here down. And then I can usually fit 2 of these characters in here, because that I think makes it 11 lines, so I can fit up to 2 here. And if I have a little extra space, that's where I'll just write a character. These are side characters that aren't integral to the plot, but they do show up, so I'll write their name. I might write their age and their relationship / relevance. And so that's 1 line for each of these characters that just kind of shows up. So next I'm going to show you guys how I do the actual plotting. So that would be Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, which is something I don't really do. I don't break it down into acts. I just write it all as one thing because that just makes more sense to me. But I know in my mind where the acts split. So now to show this, this was probably my most exciting thing that I did because it just fits so perfectly into 28 lines. And like I said, there are a couple of things that I add to this. But basically, it's just a dumbed down version of this. Not dumbed down, but condensed, I guess is a better way to put it. I'm going to go ahead and write it here just because I prefer writing on the thicker side. But it will only fill 1 page, again, if you have 28 lines. And if you don't, if you have a couple of more lines, like say you have 4 extra lines, after you fill all this out, you could put the acts in, or say you don't have enough lines, I don't know what you're gonna do then. Maybe give 2 lines to each thing and then make it a 2-page thing or something like that. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's gonna depend, and most people that won't matter. So I have multiple point of view novels. That's what I'm writing right now, and it's also a series, right? So what I will do is I will write the character name, point of view, and then I'll put a little dash, and I'll write the title of the book, and then once again, volume, whatever, okay? So, and I will do this multiple times, and another thing I might do, and I haven't done it yet because I haven't committed, but you can highlight that in the given color. You could also be writing this in the color that your character is, but I'm trying to keep it simple here. So, I will write the opening, This is where I'm going to give you guys the least explanation because I want you guys to watch her series and understand what they mean based on what she has to say, because that's how I learned it. And something else I do differently is I don't include the setting or the allies. I've already kind of done the allies in the character sheet by listing side characters. And the setting, I don't know, if that was important, my book is just kind of an urban natural setting. So I might give an extra page to it if I were to do that. But yeah, I don't think it warrants the space for this particular book. And then I'll write dramatic question, arguments, and I simplify the titles as well because, again, I only have one line for each of these. Antagonist, stakes. And now remember that this is an outline and not your plot. Or wait, sorry, this is an outline of your plot, not your storyboard. So if things are kind of out of order with the way that they show up, that's okay too. That's something I've recently kind of come to terms with. First, doorway. And then I'll come down and I'll do this. I'll write insight, which stands for the inciting event. And I'll do that instead. And then key. And then we'll go into Act 2. Plan. Okay, so this is one of the things that I added to this because she mentions it in the book, in her videos, that usually around this time, so you have their entering the new world, and they're coming up with their plan, you'll have the kick in the shins, which is essentially where it's like, okay, here's the plan, but oh, bam, right away, this is something that they're going to have to face. And so it's kind of almost like an antagonist attack, but not quite. And so I actually included that in my version of the plot, and I just write kick, and that's where I put that. It worked for my book. And now for my books so far, I have only really had one major test, or tests that were enough that I could still fit them on one line, just simplifying and using commas. This may not apply to future stories, and I have not had to cross that bridge yet, but my goal is hopefully to be able to fit them in some condensed form on one line still. First, pinch, and then midpoint, followed by that same structure. I will write the full word mirror moment because so far, once again, I haven't found that I've needed too much space for this. On to Act 2, Part 2. I actually don't use the word, what do I use? Yeah, for some reason, and I can't remember exactly why, but the word reaction didn't work for me, so I write response. I think because in this book series, for me, it's more of an emotional response than like a active or a physical response, maybe? I don't know. You can write whatever you want. New plan. And I just write, nope, I don't. That's something else. I was gonna say I just write HC, but I actually write the full thing here. That must have been, so I started doing this on a whiteboard as I'm working on the second book because I know a lot less about it. And that's where I really shortened all of these phrases. Second, pinch, second, wait. Now, a brief disruption and possibly a lighting change later. We have returned for Act 3. So once again, I'm just kind of going with her template for this, simplifying the names so that I have room to do the plot point on one line. I probably don't need to re-express that, but it's been a minute since I was filming a minute ago, so multiple minutes. Oh, this is so fun though. I don't know why I find this so satisfying, but I'm really excited about it because it has really changed the way that I am writing these books now, and things are going so much faster. And like, I have a better view of the story itself, the overall structure, and I'm more inspired now to start working on the other books, which is why I wanted to get this out before I, made a mess of it. Yes, so like I said, for Nano, I'm planning on writing that first book again, but I might actually start writing it now. Or if things go really well, I would like to start to write the first one and then be working into the next one. So resolution, and now this is where I have the last point that I add to this, which I call the pull through. And so I write just pull. And so this is important if you're writing a series, because it was just something to me to make note of, was what is essentially left over after all of this, what's the pull through to the next book? And so I will write, so like, this is the resolution, this is where we're at, and now this is what still needs to be done, is basically what that is. So it's like if, let's say it's a romance series, and at the end of the book you tease that, oh, these two characters might actually be interested in each other. So then the pull through would be what's going to happen with that relationship. Things like that is what that essentially is. So it's what pulls the reader to keep going on to the next book. That is what that plot point is, and obviously it's only necessary, first of all, if this is going to be a point of view character in the next book, and also if it's a series. If it's not a series, then that's obviously not important. And now the last note I'll make is that, of course, I will do this for every point of view character. If you have one point of view character, you'll only have to do it once. But yeah, that's how I use Heart Breathing's workbook. Just to kind of simplify it, be able to see everything at a glance. I really like it because I can see, you know, each character right next to each other, which I can do on here too. I don't know, there's something about physical right now that's just making more sense to me. And now she also has these sections for scene lists and stuff, which are excellent. I do highly recommend, as well as links to all of the people that she got the information from. But so I'm still kind of working on how I do scenes, and currently I do use the computer, mostly because I like to type a lot and I just can type faster. I started doing it on just like a blank sheet of paper, but I wrote so much and time passed so slowly that I had to go ahead and start back on the computer. And then, like I said, I use these cards, but I may do a more proper video on that in the future. But I can just say basically that I have a color for each character. So obviously I use that colored card, and then I just kind of write them out, whatever has to happen, and try to hit all of these points throughout that. But I'm sure that there will be more to it once I'm done. And once again, I will use, if I'm doing color coding, I might do a highlighter at the end and just kind of highlight the top to show which character it is, even though I know, but it's good for flipping through. But basically, that's what I got for you today, and good luck, and let me know if you are using this, if you have a similar method, and I will link Heart Breathings down in the description, and I hope you check her out for sure, not just this series, but all of her series, as well as her Preptober series she's doing. And yes, that's what I got for you this week. Happy prepping. See ya. No.